Hey, what's up? It's Not Newbie back again with yet another stream. What is up, you guys? What is poppin'? Not Newbie live yet again. Yeah, it's good to be back here with you all. Give me 1 second as I send this into the Discord. Covering all of the All right, there we go. Boom, the message is now sent into the Discord. By the way, if you're not a member of the Discord, you should go ahead and join that now. The link is in the description below. It's also dscrd.indianwb.cc. It's a place you want to be if you want to chat with me. I take your reaction requests to heart. They influence what I do choose to react to here on this channel. So, if you want to influence my content, be a part of the gang, join the bread gang, and you will have massive power and massive influence on what the streams are like and what happens. A very interesting, I think, night of content lined up for us. I have some news we're going to cover. All the stuff going on with the rumored civil war going on between Texas and the federal government. If you were in my Discord, you know my position on that basically is that there's not really going to be any sort of major conflict, at least one that leads to violence. You know, that was my prediction. At most, you know, the side with the most guns is going to get the other side to just surrender without even firing a shot. It was my position. Things ended up resolving a lot more peacefully than that. Stay tuned if you want to figure out or learn more about what happened with that situation. We've got more news from Mike Johnson as well. It's actually bad news, but for some reason, Republicans are not paying attention to this. I find this a bit odd. Got some more interesting news about election interference with Democratic, or well, maybe not Democratic, but some folks in various states trying to keep Donald Trump out of ballots. We've got the latest on 2024 election interference as well later on in the stream. And apparently the FBI got hacked, so that's kind of an interesting story, I would say. We've also got official Mike here in the chat. Hey, official Mike, thanks for popping in. Appreciate you tuning in, and might as well answer some of your questions before I go ahead and dive headfirst into these topics. Official Mike says, been grinding, embrace hustle culture. I mean, okay, that is not... You've been embracing hustle culture before you even knew what it was, bro. Like, you're basically a workaholic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just one thing that's very obvious for anyone who is super familiar with the stream, super familiar with the members in the chat. Official Mike is kind of like a wannabe edgelord, sort of, but he also is an extremely hard worker. So that does not shock me. Keep grinding, G. Keep grinding. Official Mike also says, how do you stop allowing illegal immigrants into the USA? There are many ways that you can do that. Now, Greg Abbott has been using things like razor wire across certain parts of the border to keep illegal immigrants out. Now, Donald Trump, of course, has touted the idea of a great big wall, just like they have in China, to keep illegal immigrants out. That is certainly something that could work, but I think that it's a little bit faulty to think that there's just one way to keep illegal immigrants out of the country. A wall is not particularly cost effective. However, something like razor wire certainly is. Of course, you get into tricky scenarios depending on how determined people are to get into the country, right? Like some people, for instance, would advocate for the border patrol or whatever actually shooting on people trying to basically invade the country. Not a scenario you ever want to be in or even imagine. That's not a position that I would support, I don't think, unless literally all other options were exhausted, to be honest. Like, there are so many other things. Between a wall, you could you could build like ditches with like precipitous declines so that people like wouldn't be able to make it. There are various things that you could do. There are probably other forms of obstruction other than razor wire that could be used as well to repel illegal immigrants. But I think that, razor wire as well as a border wall are the two most obvious routes to go. But, at the end of the day, I do agree that we do need to stop illegal immigration. But that's not the whole story, right? I think that immigration is not an inherently bad thing. Now, to be fair, a country can only support, so many citizens and so many members of the country. While I do think that people who complain and are worried about overpopulation are kind of being a bit silly, because I think they tend to underestimate how many people can live in a certain area. So I don't think that overpopulation is going to be a massive issue when it comes to immigration in the immediate time frame. I do think that it is important to support immigration as a concept and as a process. We have a legal process for doing legal immigration. People who decide to become legal immigrants, it takes them quite a while to, go through all the paperwork and do all the classes and pass all the things, all the background checks and everything in order to get into this country and become legitimate citizens. I think that process probably needs some work, to be honest. I think that process probably needs some work. It also needs more people, working within it, because I think if you had more people working in that system, that might speed up the process for some people. There are people who are literally just like in a queue, in a line, who aren't able to become citizens just because there aren't as many people working as there are people trying to get into the country. So it's a complex issue. Immigration is complex. It's not something incredibly simple as just like, oh, liberals just want, to replace white people with Hispanics, which frankly, it's not just liberals, right? It's like, companies who work in border states are greatly helped by illegal immigration, because they can hire illegal immigrants and pay them less money, because illegal immigrants don't have the same types of protections that American citizens do. Right? They can mistreat the illegal immigrant workers more. It's just not the best situation for them. So it's not just that like necessarily all liberals are the ones who want these illegal immigrants to come in and outnumber like the white people. Like there are capitalist right-wing reasons to support illegal immigration as well. But it doesn't matter the genetic makeup of the country. I don't care. I don't care if white people. I don't care if in the future there are fewer white people than black people, or fewer white people than Hispanic people. I literally don't care. But I do think that we need to make sure that the people who are coming into the country, that we vet them out, make sure that we're not letting in terrorists, because we did have the story, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. We did find a terrorist who came across the border, and we're like, oh, we should probably send you back. We have no idea how many terrorists have gotten into the country, for example. So, I think it's very, very important that we secure the border and, shore up and stop illegal immigration. But at the same time, we really need to work on the legal immigration process, because that needs to be a bit streamlined so that it's not as hard and cumbersome to become a legal citizen of the United States. And I think that we can do that without compromising security, right? It's not like we have to get rid of a bunch of security guardrails in order to fast track, like Hispanic and other immigrants, like it's like a COVID vaccine or something. So, but those are just my thoughts. Galaxy says, we're newbie, I'm scared, we're going to war. No, we're not. And I'm going to explain why. Well, actually, we're not having a civil war. Are we going to war internationally? We could, maybe not. I have my own gut reaction, which is no, but I'll explain the reasoning behind that in just a second. Official Mike says, why are illegal immigrants given free housing, healthcare, and money? I mean, that's what you have to do if you want to harbor illegal immigrants. And that's what, some folks who are running companies and stuff, but mostly folks on the left want to do. They want to harbor illegal immigrants. So, when you bring in illegal immigrants, you can't just throw them to the side of the street like they're like San Franciscans. Like, you have to actually give them food. You have to give them a place to live. You have to give them money so that they can actually buy food. Look, you said healthcare as well. What if they get hurt, right? What if they come across the border and they're already sick? What if they come in bringing various diseases, which I don't know if there's like a big a lot of instances of that happening, but what if that happens? They have to have healthcare as well. So when you bring in these folks, these are all things that they're going to need, whether that's something granted from the federal government or it's something that they obtain on their own. These are all things that will be necessary. So I feel like the question isn't necessarily why are illegal immigrants given these things. These are things that they need, and they could be working for it, sure. But they just got here, right? I mean, you have to give them time to, send their resumes to enough companies. But the real question is, why are we allowing so much illegal immigration in the first place? That's the real question, not why they have healthcare. It's not bad that they have healthcare. Let's see here. Official Mike says Texas is going to war in court. No, it's not. First of all, they already lost in court. Second of all, things are starting to calm down. The tensions are about to ease. If you join my Discord, you know why. And if you stay tuned for like at least 5 or 10 more minutes, then you'll know why too, because I'll be going over all of that information, breaking all of that down. But no, there's basically no conflict between Texas and the United States anymore. Alex says, so what happens if we go to war nationally? Are you referring to war in the Middle East? Like, for example, what if we declare war on Iran? What happens then? I would imagine, now, granted, I don't know, the exact way the system works, but I would imagine that, we already have troops who are literally like with the army or whatever. All we would need to do is just like send those troops out. First things we would do is probably send troops out or fly planes over and drop bombs in Iran. It's the first thing that we would do. If things escalate and we need more troops, then we would probably send out more troops, like find more troops in America who aren't really like active duty or whatever. We'd probably grab those, send all those people out. If things get bad enough, right, where it literally becomes a World War III because so many different countries getting pulled in, right? You would get like China involved, Russia involved, actually like Israel, European nations, other NATO allies and everything. Then once you kind of get to the World War III part, I think you might then see some sort of draft. Now, drafts are very, unpopular. And I don't think that we've had a draft in a very, very, very long time. I think that we would have to get, reasonably deep into a World War III type situation before we could even start to be thinking about some sort of draft happening, for both political reasons, because drafts are extremely unpopular and whoever greenlights a draft is probably going to lose political power in the next election. But also the fact of, you don't really want to do something like that unless you truly need to. So we'd probably wait until the last moment, relatively speaking, before pulling some sort of move like that. Let's see. Official Mike says, did anyone say war in the Middle East? Nikki Haley would love to know your location. I know. And, I don't think we'll get... I have some gut feelings on whether or not we'll actually have a World War III within the next 2 years. It's almost a coin flip. I'm not sold on it, but we'll have to see what happens. Official Mike says, would Canada join China in war because Trudeau would be fighting with his boyfriend? It's a very good question. I actually think that Canada would do nothing, which China wouldn't be too mad about either. Because yes, I do think that there's some credence. Like you've sent me lots of information in the Discord about the potential of China influencing or controlling certain aspects of the Canadian government, or going so far as to say that they are controlling and influencing entire elections within the state of Canada. Sorry, some of my spittle was getting onto the microphone there. However, Canada has too many NATO allies to just go full out and be like, hey, World War III time? Okay, I'll support China. Like, That's just not going to fly. So I think Canada would be probably one of the most neutral countries you could find in any sort of, potential World War III scenario. Now, granted, I don't think that any World War III would actually get so big and so involved that Canada would even be brought into it. But we'll see. Official Mike said Canada is too weak. Kind of. I mean, they do have some military forces. I don't know if they have nukes over there necessarily, but they have military forces. When it comes to boots on the ground, they could contribute to some degree. Like that wouldn't be impossible to do. But all right, I thank everyone in the chat for the messages, but I do want to get into some of the topics for today. One of them is actually something that you guys have actually been asking about. So I am going to go ahead and dive into it because I think you guys will probably find it relatively interesting. So we do know that many people have been worried a bit to varying degrees. I think people on the internet have been more worried than people living in the real world about this. But there have been some concerns about whether or not there will be some sort of civil war between the state of Texas and 25 or so states that have allied with them and the federal government. And this is just a brief summation to catch you up. Essentially, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, has kind of gotten tired of so many illegal immigrants pouring into the country. He's been saying enough is enough. And so in response to the massive swelling of illegal immigrants rushing across his Texas border, he has decided to put down tons of razor wire all across the state. Well, not all across the state, but in certain sections of the Texas border. Now, this kind of came off as somewhat irksome to the Joe Biden administration, as well as Alejandro Mayorkas, who I think is in charge of the Border Patrol right now, which is, by the way, a federal force. So he ordered Border Patrol folks to go down into Texas and remove some of that razor wire. And, Greg Abbott was kind of upset. He actually went and took him to court over it. Lost. It escalated. Lost again, I believe. It escalated all the way up to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court said, you know what? The Federal Border Patrol Agency can just do whatever they want. If they want to let the illegal immigrants in, let them in. If they want to tear down all of your razor wire, go ahead. Let them do that. They want to give them all water bottles as they cross into the border, let them do that too. And, Greg Abbott didn't really like that. Now, it's actually in the Constitution that states have rights to defend themselves, to enforce the law. Greg Abbott pointed to both of these things in his responses, saying basically he would not comply with the demands of the federal government in this case. And so that, of course, led to obvious conflict. You have the federal government saying, we are going to send over troops to remove your barbed wire, and Greg Abbott saying, hey, how about no? And then to complicate things even further, we had 25 other states come in with their own document. They wrote an open letter saying, you know what? We fully support Texas. We're absolutely in support of what Texas is doing. So you know what we're going to do? If they request it, we're going to send our National Guard troops over there into Texas to help them oppose Border Patrol and whatever federal agents the Biden administration might send their way. So this is a very real standoff. A standoff so real that if you go to Wikipedia and search up Eagle Pass standoff, there's a literal Wikipedia article for this. The Wikipedia article itself says that this standoff is quite unprecedented. And so people were like, what's going to happen? Because the Joe Biden administration did give the state of Texas a deadline. I think it was last Friday or Thursday or something like that, saying, if you do not, get rid of the razor wire, by this certain date, we're just going to come in and forcibly remove it. People were like, oh, what's going to happen? Well, in case you guys haven't noticed, not a single shot has been fired. And you might be wondering why. Well, the, Border Patrol Union, and this is actually days ago. I kind of wish that I'd caught this earlier, but this actually happened last Friday. I think the same day that the deadline was given. The Border Patrol Union, which is basically the union that contains all of the Border Patrol agents. So this is basically the official position of the Border Patrol workers. They put out this tweet, an official statement saying, Rank and file BP agents are not going to start arresting Texas National Guard members for following their lawful orders. That's fake news. Texas National Guard and rank and file Border Patrol agents work together and respect each other's jobs, period. If Texas National Guard members have lawful orders, then they have to carry out those orders. Texas National Guard members realize that rank and file Border Patrol agents have their orders as well. Lawful orders, no matter how unpopular or distasteful amongst rank and file agents, must be followed. Unlawful orders, as determined by competent legal counsel and not what some outhouse lawyer behind a keyboard says, will not be followed. Rank and file BP agents appreciate and respect what Texas has been doing to defend their state in the midst of this catastrophe that the Biden administration has unleashed on America. We want to be perfectly clear. There is no fight between rank and file Border Patrol agents and the Texas National Guard, Greg Abbott, or Texas, what is the Department of, DPS. Someone else tell me what that stands for, please. It may make flashy headlines, but it simply isn't true. Now, you might take this in various ways, right? Because there's reference to lawful orders, and some people like myself have been wondering, well, is the Supreme Court basically telling Texas to cease and desist? Is that considered a lawful order? Well, I think you have to make sure that you are paying attention to some of the most important language here. Because, it says here, rank and file Border Patrol agents appreciate and respect what Texas has been doing to defend their state in the midst of this catastrophe that the Biden administration has unleashed on America. You know what that tells me? That tells me that they don't want to say, hey, we're going to go against the Supreme Court. We don't necessarily care what the Supreme Court has to say if we consider their thing to be unlawful. They don't really want to go out and say it. But at the same time, they do want to make it very clear that the Border Patrol agents are actually on the side of Greg Abbott. The Border Patrol agents are actually on the side of Texas. And they've actually committed here saying that they will refuse to arrest members of the National Guard, and they will refuse to impede Governor Greg Abbott in the future for whatever he wants to do when it comes to, defending the border and making sure that it's secure, insofar as they consider Greg Abbott's commands and, his commands, as long as they deem them to be lawful, then they're going to go ahead and support the enforcement of them. So what does that mean? That basically means that there is no threat of any sort of civil war over this conflict. Joe Biden and Mayorkas can all bluster as much as they like, but at the end of the day, the Border Patrol is not going to go and try to fight or arrest the Texas National Guard. Now, is it possible that Joe Biden goes and sends like Marines and, American troops down to, forcibly remove all the razor wire that's strewn out in various parts of the border? It's technically possible, but it's not very likely. It's also going to look very bad if he is literally sending troops with guns to oppose his own members of Border Patrol. So what can I say? Crisis averted. There's no longer any sort of worry that any sort of major conflict is going to happen. I would fully expect after a while the federal government to just back down, because there aren't that many things that Joe Biden could do, especially considering the fact that this is within a political presidential election season. Joe Biden has to make decisions that will not jeopardize his campaign, and sending troops over to go and attack members of his own Border Patrol agency is one of those types of things that would certainly jeopardize his campaign. So should we worry about a civil war? Not over this. Not over this. So we can go on Facebook and be marked safe from Civil War II. Oh my goodness. Mike said, fight, grab the popcorn. No, there's not going to be any fight. We calm down. Everything is going to be fine. I'm partially happy about this, by the way, because it means that the side that I was rooting for is going to win, which is Greg Abbott. I'm happy that Greg Abbott's going to be able to do what he wants to do to secure the border. I think that he's doing what needs to be done. Nothing that he's doing is like the easy thing or the fun thing or the cool thing to do. I know that many right-wingers are probably going to be running around like, yeah, lay those razor wires in. Let all of those illegal immigrants get cut down to the bone as they try to cross the border. I take no pleasure in imagining what's going to happen when, illegal immigrants inevitably try to walk through or over or pass unsuccessfully the razor wire that's on the border. That's going to be a horrific situation. But at the end of the day, you do need to defend the border. These people can't just keep coming into the country and breaking the law. They need to come in legally instead. There are safer ways to get into the United States of America rather than, crossing it forcibly and illegally with the hopes that you'll come across some sort of federal force that will welcome you with open arms and warm blankets. So, I know I'm ranting, but there's not going to be any sort of fight. There's not going to be any sort of fight. We're all fine. We're all fine. All right. I guess, what do you guys want? You guys want the World War III story? You guys want the World War III story? I can certainly give you guys the World War III story. Yeah, it looks like you guys want the World War III story. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this. But by the way, disclaimer, I'm not entirely caught up with all of the war, the stuff that's going on with the Israel and Hamas war. This is because so many things are happening over there. It can just be a lot to follow. It basically feels like a full-time job. If you're looking for good sources of information about the war in Israel and the war with Hamas, I would highly recommend primarily checking Times of Israel's live blogs. According to Mia Bias Fact Check, they're one of the most reliable, most objective, and most credible news sources that is doing a lot of coverage of what's been going on over there. A lot of people point to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera, I think, has failed more fact checks, I think, than Times of Israel. They also lean to the left. Times of Israel tries to be pretty neutral because they basically report what other people are reporting. That gets sources from, government officials and government agencies. I think that they don't try to swing to conclusions too much. They do carry some stories that end up being, not true or not entirely verified, but they always have some sort of clarification where it's like, hey, we did not come up with this. This is according to other people. You can literally go look up those other people and try and verify this information yourself or come to your own conclusion. So I highly recommend going to Times of Israel, looking at their timelines, their live chats or whatever. Every single day, there are things happening. People are dying. It's a horrible situation. But if you want up-to-date news about what's happening over there, I'd recommend going over there. But at a very, very high level, things seem to be heating up when it comes to America's involvement in the Israel-Hamas war. Things have been spilling over, and I've talked over and over again, I think, on this stream about how we've been antagonizing our enemies over there in the Middle East. We've been sending troops over there to where, even our ally Israel said, hey, we don't want them. We're like, okay, and we send them next door. Lots of bad decisions by the Biden administration when it comes to handling this conflict once it brewed. But now we have even more bad news. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up this article here because it's actually very important due to context. Let's see here. Soldiers. All right. So all of this here, of course, there's more context and background, but with this immediate story of what's happening in Iran, this all started 2 days ago. The headline here is from Reuters. 3 U.S. troops killed in Jordan drone strike leaked to Iran. And we just read the first few headlines. We can read the first few paragraphs here. 3 U.S. service members were killed and at least 34 wounded in a drone attack by Iran-backed militants on U.S. troops in northeastern Jordan near the Syrian border. President Joe Biden and U.S. officials said on Sunday. It is the first deadly strike against U.S. forces since the Israel-Hamas war erupted in October. It marks a major escalation in tensions that have engulfed the Middle East. While we are still gathering the facts of this attack, we know it was carried out by radical Iran-based militant groups operating in Syria and Iraq. And by the way, since that article came out, the group that is backed by Iran has since claimed responsibility for the attack, and the U.S. has since named the service members who were killed in the drone attack. But of course, the natural response is, well, what are you going to do, America? It's the thing that everyone's thinking. Now, there were some rumors yesterday that, at midnight or so, Joe Biden was going to announce some sort of military action against Iran. That ended up not happening. And by the time this video goes up, it's very possible that Joe Biden has announced any sort of response. But, he at least has said that he has decided on what he will do. Now, it's actually important to note here that says an Iran-backed group in Iraq said it would suspend attacks on U.S. forces. So I think it's pretty sure that they're already worried about what the reaction from America is going to do. I entirely believe that this is probably a move to try to placate America and be like, hey, we're sorry we killed you guys. We're sorry we killed your soldiers. We're not going to kill any more of them, okay? Please leave us alone. Pretty please. I'm pretty sure that that's what the Iran-backed group was thinking when they decided to make that move, or at least that's what they're trying to signal to the United States. But we have more of the article here. President Joe Biden said Tuesday he's decided how the U.S. is going to respond to the drone attack on a U.S. base in Jordan by Iran-backed militants that killed 3 American soldiers. Have you made a decision how you'll respond to the attack? Biden was asked, leaving the White House as headed for fundraisers in Florida. I don't think that's a complete or grammatically correct sentence. That seems botched to me. Yes, he said. Retaliatory strikes by the U.S. so far have yet to deter any of these Iranian-backed groups in the region. Asked if this upcoming response will actually deter them, he said, quote, "We'll see." He reiterated, and this is important to the analysis and my gut reaction to this, what I'm going to say after I go through this article. He reiterated that the U.S. is not looking for a wider war in the Middle East, explaining, that's not what I'm looking for. The president wouldn't go as far as saying Iran is directly responsible for the attack, but that it is responsible for arming these proxy groups. I do hold them responsible in that they're supplying the weapons to the people who did it. The U.S. response to the drone attack will be Twill? Man, this thing is full of typos. What are y'all doing over here at ABC News? Come on, fix this. This came out hours ago. You had time to fix this article. What is up with these simple typos? You're throwing me off. I'm trying to read this. Oh my goodness. The U.S. response to the drone attack will be carried out over the course of several days, striking multiple targets, a U.S. official told ABC News. These are going to be very deliberate targets, deliberate strikes on facilities that enabled these attacks on U.S. forces, the official said. Also on Tuesday, the Iran-backed Hezbollah brigades, based in Iraq, I don't know, different from Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon, said it would suspend its military operations against U.S. forces in Iraq. Oh, by the way, that is the organization that claimed responsibility for this attack. So, I guess that's pretty much all that there is to the story. But I think that we want to focus on the main thing that he says here. He reiterated that the U.S. is not looking for a wider war in the Middle East, explaining that's not what I'm looking for. That's the key paragraph in this entire article. And that's because so many people, and this is not just in America, but around the world, are looking around and they're being like, man, this stuff in the Middle East has escalated drastically. One small attack is now involving at least 5 other nations in literal hot conflicts, right? In hot and referring to bullets, right? People are shooting at each other, dropping bombs. at each other just because of one terror attack in the state of Israel. Does this mean that there is going to be a World War III? And to be honest, I don't have a complete answer for you. I don't know whether or not we will eventually be in some sort of World War III situation. But I do think it's important to take a couple of things in mind. First of all, war in the United States is extremely unpopular. It's not something that the American people are really on board with. Americans very rarely are marching out into the streets saying, more war, yay woo. You know, no one's saying that. No one's saying, yeah, we think that, you know, Northrop Grumman, they're goated. No one is running around saying that. We do not glorify, as a citizenry, we do not glorify and support the military, for better or for worse, and we don't glorify and support, you know, Northrop Grumman or, you know, all of these weapons manufacturing companies. Especially online, you see a lot of disdain for these groups. That is very, very important for the second point that I'm about to bring up. We are in the middle of the 2024 presidential campaign, right? This is a campaign between actually really two people, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, regarding, you know, who's going to be the next president of the United States. If your whole point is that you're trying to garner support from the American citizens, the last thing that you should be doing is going on the warpath. That's not something that's been helping Nikki Haley. You can see that because she has had, you know, maybe not abysmal, but certainly distant second place finishes when it comes to looking at the primary so far in the GOP. It has not worked in her favor. We have, I think, in our Discord, in our community online, the Bread Gang, one of our members is, you know, he's leaning to the left, but he actually supports, I think, Jill Stein as a potential candidate to help us get rid of the tensions that have since bubbled up after everything that happened in October 7th. The main thing that people are saying is not how do we send our troops over to defeat Hamas, not how do we, you know, carpet bomb all these terrorist groups that we have, by the way, antagonized by sending troops over there when they didn't need to be over there. This is not the thing that Americans are thinking. The things that Americans are thinking, and actually many of our allies as well, is how do we get things to de-escalate? How do we keep things from boiling over into becoming a World War III type situation? And so if you look at the populace, this is what we're thinking. The main thing we're thinking is we don't want World War III. We have people in my chat right now who are saying they are scared by the mere words World War III. Does a population like that, you think that they would respond positively to, say, Joe Biden declaring war on Iran? This is coming after we know that this terrorist group has killed American citizens. And even still, I don't think a lot of people want us to be going after Iran in some sort of formal military conflict. Now, all of that said, I think there are also a couple of important things to take into account. First of all, this does not mean that we will not have some sort of military response. Like this article points out, we've already been sending drones over there. We've already been having strikes, right? We already have military personnel there, as I've whined and complained about for months now. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that we send more troops there in order to at least give them a slap on the wrist and being like, no, bad dog. That is very much a possibility. On the other hand, we also have to consider that if Joe Biden, this is a very slim chance, this is probably not going to happen, but if Joe Biden wins the election come this November in 2024, he then has no incentive to listen to the Americans' cries of, oh, we don't want to be in a civil war. Why? Because ordinarily he'd be beholden to the voters, but there's nothing the voters can do now if he's already been reelected. So it's very possible that come December or January or February of 2025, that if things like this are still happening, that eventually Joe Biden, convenes with Congress and they declare formal war on Iran. Now, I don't think that's particularly likely because, midterm elections happen all the time in various states. So you're going to have a lot of representatives on the hot seat being like, oh, hey, why did you greenlight a World War III? That's not something that we wanted when we voted you in. So I don't think that we will really see that happen, but I just want to put it out there that it's possible that this could happen. And I think that we should not blind ourselves to this possibility. So are we going to have World War III? Again, I'm not entirely sure, but I will say that there's a very, very low likelihood that we would ever enter some sort of formal conflict by the end of the year. Now, it's very possible that we would send more troops or announce new missile launches or something, more drone strikes into Iran. It's very possible, but we will not enter some sort of formal conflict that causes a legitimate World War III anytime soon. The soonest that we're going to see this is the beginning of December of 2024, if not January, February of 2025. It's a long way off. There's lots of time for things to change. Things could simmer down for all we know by the time the summer's over. We don't know what's going to happen. But all I would say is stay tuned, honestly, because this is a very precipitous situation. Things could go very badly. Doesn't mean that they will go badly, but they very well could. So I would say keep an eye on how things are going in the Middle East. Oh, man. There was another story I wanted to cover, but I don't think that we'll have time to cover it. If you guys want to, let me know, and I might cover it during the next stream. This is about Mike Johnson avoiding a government shutdown and why I think it's actually a bad thing, specifically for him and his position in Congress. So if you guys want my commentary on that, let me know, and I will consider talking about that in my next stream. Because, remember, I do have the hard break coming up at 10 p.m., so I can't really bump up against that too much. Also, I'm not going to go over the FBI hack story. I might go over that in another stream as well. Let me know in the chat if you guys want me to cover those things, and I certainly will. Let me see here. I will pull this up. Oh, no link. Okay, not what I was looking for. Okay. So we have some big news when it comes to election interference in the 2024 election. As many of you guys are aware, election interference in the 2024 election has been rampant, with many states deciding that they would remove Donald Trump from various ballots, either on the primary or for the general election. But we have some good news. The Illinois Election Board has overruled the objection to Trump being eligible on the ballots. In a quote from him, from Trump himself, he says, "The vote was 8-0 in favor of keeping your favorite president, me, on the ballot." That's him. The Illinois State Board of Elections has dismissed a complaint challenging whether President Donald Trump is eligible to appear on the state's primary ballot. The board, comprised of 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans, unanimously opted to leave Trump on the ballot. The board members' January 30th decision is in alignment with advice from his lawyer that it did not have the authority to determine if the former president had violated the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Now, this is massive. This is huge. Now, this is not big enough to stop the other efforts of election interference that's removing Trump from other ballots across the country, but this does set a very interesting precedent. Because as we understand it, right, they've been trying to remove Donald Trump from these ballots under the pretense that he supposedly led some sort of insurrection, is an insurrectionist, and therefore is ineligible to be president of the United States due to the insurrection clause. The problem is that he hasn't been proven or found guilty of actually leading some sort of insurrection. He could have been charged with insurrection if he actually, led an insurrection, right? Very possible. Or, you could have provided proof that he led some sort of insurrection, right? That's also an option. Neither of these things were done because, let's be honest, right? Donald Trump didn't lead no insurrection, right? Many people are calling January 6th an insurrection. That's not necessarily something that I would call an insurrection. I think just because, especially since people there had so many disparate reasons for being there, I wouldn't call that an insurrection. But even if you were to call that insurrection, let's suspend our disbelief for a second. Even if we're going to call it insurrection, you have to make another leap. Another leap. And that leap is saying that Donald Trump led or incited the riots that happened on January 6th. And let's be entirely honest, he did not. Now, some people are like, oh, well, he used inflammatory language and all this stuff. Well, yes, he certainly did. He certainly said things that caused people to believe things that made them very angry. But he also was very, very clear beforehand and on the very day. In fact, during the speech, which, happened at the same time as the January 6th riots, he literally made sure to say that we need to be peaceful. Make sure to not be violent. He had a message of peace. Anger, perhaps, but also a message of peace. And, now there's some people arguing, oh, well, he said we need to fight like hell or whatever, which is, it's honestly a hilarious argument because, fighting like hell or whatever is a word that is constantly used. Many progressives have used languages like fight. I know AOC has been talking about fighting for various things, fighting for civil rights or whatever, fighting for the marginalized, all of those fancy, Starbucks lobby buzzwords, right? Just because you're saying that people need to fight doesn't mean you're telling people to be violent. You can fight for what you believe in. MLK fought for what he believed in. He was a pacifist, right? So, the idea that if you're saying, fight like hell or fight or whatever, that you're supporting violence is absolutely ridiculous. That's not what Trump did. And I think that these judges here or this court, I think this court did make the right decision. And I think moving forward, I think this is probably going to shock a lot of people, but I think that moving forward, the courts are actually going to continue to make the right decision. The Democrats really jumped the gun when they tried to do these moves without having Trump found guilty or at least being charged of insurrection first. They really should have charged Trump with insurrection, convicted of an insurrection, and then moved over to removing him from these ballots. Because if you say they're removing him for being an insurrectionist, yet you don't have enough proof to get a conviction that he indeed is an insurrectionist, then at the end of the day, you kind of left to wonder whether or not he's actually an insurrectionist. Even if you believe he did an insurrection, not in the legal sense, he's not an insurrectionist yet. He has to be found guilty of it. So the Democrats jumped the gun on this one. I don't think this is going to succeed. I think, unfortunately, it kind of leaves a path in the future to remove other people from ballots, right? If they don't like them necessarily, as long as they can find ways to get them on that insurrection charge. But we'll have to see what happens. And I do think this is very good news. I don't think that we should necessarily panic over these charges of insurrection, because I think in the future they're going to be dropped and Trump will be on every single ballot that he wants to be on by the time the 2024 election in November rolls around. So no need to worry, I don't think. So this has been a pretty fun stream. I think this has actually been one of my better streams as of late. I'm actually pretty happy with how the stream is turning out. Also, I'm absolutely having a good time. I wish I didn't have the hard break coming up here in about 12 minutes. But while I'm here, and while we're in good spirits and in a good mood, because let's be honest, when it comes to most of these things I've covered today, it's actually good news, except for the stuff that's happening in Iran.
My name is Schlatt, and there's one thing you need to know about me. I'm Rich.
I'm jumping the gun here. Let's react to this video by Jay Schlatt. This is on his alt channel called Schlag, I believe. And this is called The Most Expensive Video I've Ever Made. This guy's humor is hilarious, but I have not watched his videos in the longest time. So let's go watch this. Excuse me, because I'm sure that it's funny.
My name is Schlatt, and there's one thing you need to know about me. I'm rich, and when someone flexes on...
Is that a fog machine in the corner? Bro, fog. I hiking would love to have a fog machine. It'd be pretty cool, but it'd just be very I don't know, impractical. And then what? You fill your room up full of smoke, and then you can't see. You trip over the corner of your bed, or your sibling comes stumbling in and then just starts coughing and wheezing. Just the smoke. Cool concept. I don't know how I would exactly integrate that into my room though.
My name is Schlatt, and there's...
Of course, this is... I could be saying all of this, and at the end of the day, that thing could just be a humidifier for all I know.
My name is Schlatt, and there's one thing you need to know about me. I'm rich, and when someone flexes on me, it's in my blood to flex back. Which means that when I was in Japan with my buddy Ludwig, and he took me to his $2,000 a night hotel in the heart of Tokyo for his YouTube short, I knew what I had to do. I had to book a $4,000 a night hotel in the heart of Kyoto. So without any further ado, let me show you.
Why would you? I'm getting Minecraft ideas, man. This looks awesome. Bro. Dude, this looks so modern. Bro, this would make a 45-year-old so upset.
Let's start with the master bedroom. Look at this. We're in the Ritz-Carlton Kyoto. You know it's a nice room.
Ritz-Carlton,
bed.
okay.
It's not up against the wall. They built a fake wall for this. You seeing this? Come around here.
Fake?
It keeps going. It's a fucking closet. Can you believe that? We got some nice artwork.
That's cool.
$30,000. I don't fucking know. Look at this shit. The bathroom has a television in the mirror. What the fuck?
That's so cool. That's so cool. I've seen one of these in real life, and I really want one.
Fuck? Are you that fucked up off of watching TikToks all day? You need Subway Surfers when you're brushing your fucking teeth? This is the bathroom.
So cool. By the way, if you ever go online, like look up the holographic mirrors. They're awesome. They're awesome.
Our fucking bathroom's got a phone in it for when you're taking a real nice shit, but you need to take an important call as well. This little setup here, that's a bidet. That's
I was like, is that a cell phone? That's a literal hardwired phone. That's crazy.
Wired in through the wall.
Bro, Japan has the craziest amenities. I completely understand now why all of the YouTubers, when they're on the brink of retiring or thinking about retiring or right after they retire, they flee. They flee to Japan. I completely understand why they do that now. Seeing all these videos about how cool Japan is almost makes me want to go to Japan or move to Japan. But of course, the thing with traveling is one of the reasons why I haven't really seriously looked into traveling internationally is because I don't really want to be stuck in a foreign country where I can't speak the language of other people. Now, I do know that English is a relatively international language, but still, I can go to Spain and not be able to speak to a single person if everyone there is speaking Spain. You know what I mean? So I don't know Japanese, right? I have to get one of my siblings to come with me and be my translator. So that's one reason why I haven't been I want to move to Japan. Also, I love America, bro. I'm literally wearing an America the Beautiful shirt. I'm literally wearing an America the Beautiful shirt. Do I come across as someone who wants to move to Japan? No. I would only move to Japan if they started burning Christians at the stake. Let's make that clear. But yes, Japan does seem like a nice place to live. Wouldn't be a bad place to visit eventually.
Call as well. This little setup here, that's a bidet that's wired in through the wall. And I can confirm it has drying functionality. Check this out. This is the laundry list. I came in here, spent from a week of filming in Tokyo. All my shit was soiled. And they're like, yeah, we have a laundry service. Just call them up. Just fill out the form. I looked at the form. Look at this. One shirt, 770 yen. That's $5 to do a single shirt. Are you fucking kidding me? It's even worse.
Oh, I completely forgot about inflation. I was like, what?
T-shirt, $6.90. A sweater, which I exclusively wear. I exclusively wear sweaters. 1,340 yen for a single sweater. Goes all the way down. God knows what the fuck a half Jubin is or a Susa yoke. And then look, express service, 100%.
Sounds like an ethnic slur.
Then surcharge. Okay, what's an express service? You think they'll have it to you in a couple minutes? No. That's if you want it in 4 hours. If you want them to do your laundry in 4 fucking hours, they charge you double.
Bro, I don't even do my laundry in 4 hours. This is probably too much information, but I don't even really do my laundry in 4 days. 4 hours? That's not bad, man. I wouldn't complain.
So if I wanted any of my clothes clean in 4 hours at the Ritz-Carlton Kyoto, it was going to be $200 fucking for a single load. Suffice to say, it's getting done right
For a single what now?
now at Woody's down the road for about $8. Oh, and if it's too dark in here in the closet and you need to find the right shirt from your mile long of shelf space, Here, just use the fucking flashlight that's built into the wall. Are you kidding me?
That's crazy. I literally thought that, you know those racks where you're supposed to put the hangers for the clothes? I thought that they would have lights inside of them beaming up against that little wooden frame that then the light will reflect back down and then you can literally see all your clothes.
Hold on, boys, before we keep going. Today's video is sponsored by me. Because my all-new YouTube...
You know who should really be sponsoring his videos is someone who can make a headset that won't disappear, at least at certain portions when he's filming it on a green screen.
News collection is here. That's right. For the first time in years, the Schlatt vinyl figure is back. And for the first time ever, it's in human form with a nice royal family-inspired robe and my boy Jambo by his side. You gotta have the gun in there, too, because God knows what I got up to with that thing back in the day. I love this figure, and I'm so excited to be dropping it today alongside these plushies. There's me, but handsome, I think. There's Fisherman Ramy with his little vest and hat, plus a little fishing rod toy that your cats will love. There's so many little tiny details on this guy, and I am all for it. And there's this little cottagecore Ramy with his little overalls and sprout and mushroom that'll also drive your cats crazy. I'd show you mine, but it's actually destroyed.
Why is he showing footage of like a funeral procession in the background? It's so distracting. What is happening there?
They actually just fucking tore it apart. All this stuff, plus a cool new pin set with a bunch of inside jokes, drops today. Guys, this stuff will be available for just 2 weeks. I am a huge fan. I think these are some of the best designs we've ever dropped, and I'm super excited to be selling them. So get down below, click the link in the description, and purchase some of these plushies before they're gone forever in 2 weeks. Bye.
We're gonna keep on going. This is like a coffee table in the bedroom. This is where you enjoy your coffee because the other 2-3 tables in the hotel room aren't good enough for you. And there's 2 seats, American-sized seats, which is good. Some of the seats in Japan literally do not fit. I was at Tony's Pizza filming for a video. I guess you'll see it at some point. And the seats did not fit me. It was like an anti-man spreading chair. I was sitting like this, like I had shit in my fucking...
Well, I mean, he's a big boy. And I'm not saying that he's fat. I mean, he's big. So like it's understandable that he would have trouble fitting in that like itty bitty tiny chair.
Pants, take it down to Woody's for $8. Get it nice and clean. A TV, that's about standard. You know, I kind of expect that. Let's see how the bed is. Oh, so this is the mess hall. This is where I assume they will be dumping a bucket of ice in about 4 minutes. These guys are gonna come by. The lady checked us in right here. She sat us down at the dining hall. And I sat at the head of the table and she sat right here. We sat down and she's like, you want ice here at 5:30? What? What do you mean, do I want ice here at 5:30? She's like, oh.
To eat?
Have an ice delivery service. We'll just give you ice. And apparently, like, I guess it's an old people thing or people who really have alcohol problems. They need to get a bowl of ice, like keep their drinks cool, as if the fucking fridge doesn't work.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that is actually a thing. I completely understand now. You take your beverages and you put them inside of the bucket of ice, and then they chill a bit. It's a legitimate thing. If I was rich, I would do that too. Maybe not with alcoholic drinks. I don't know. I'd probably go 50-50, but hey.
I don't know. Needless to say, we're getting ice because I thought that was fucking funny. Hopefully it shows up on time or else there's gonna be a fucking big problem. Beautiful view out here. They got some fucking plants and shit where they keep coming around. Actually, hold on. Let's open this up. I love seeing what kind of trinkets we get at hotels. Most of the Can you come back 20 minutes?
The ice is here.
20 minutes?
Okay.
Right. Thank you. I thought it was my fucking ice and now I'm pissed.
It was not the ice? I thought it was the
electric
ice.
Kettle. I guess that's where the fucking ice goes when they deliver it. We got 4 water bottles that probably will cost $100 each. What is this? This is tied up real nice. Oh, nothing in it. There's weed in here. That's weird.
I don't know why I thought that was hilarious and why I was so disappointed, but like it makes sense. You don't want to just like have like some sort of just like water in there or something and just left there for days and it gets all moldy.
Fucking weed. Either way, this is some tea, I guess. Oh, great. We get instructions on how to enjoy coffee. Espresso.
What? This is truly for Americans. Well, actually, maybe no. Maybe not. Americans know how to enjoy coffee. We don't need instructions on. We don't need an instruction on how to do that.
Machine. Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Here. Fucking pod selection. Doesn't say how much they're gonna cost. I guess it's good that they don't tell me that. This is the Nespresso machine, I guess. Fridge down here. Take a look at this guy. It's stocked full. I mean.
Ooh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I wanted to get a very similar cooler. If you guys look in the background there, I wanted to get a cooler that was relatively similar to this. But unfortunately, the ones that are clear are like $100 more expensive. So fortunately, it's not really an option. Also, why my mouse and keyboard keep disconnecting? If you guys saw one of my Halo streams, this is a legitimate problem I keep coming across. Like, bro, I can't click. This is bad. So annoying. But in the meantime, while this is happening, I can check the chats. Galaxy says, "Are you a coffee drinker, newbie?" You know what? I've kind of become a sort of like a decaf mocha drinker. Caffeine and I have a weird relationship, which I might talk about later in a different stream. But I can definitely do like decaf mocha. Starbucks actually has a couple coffees that I've enjoyed in the past. But I think I would, if someone was like, hey, you want some coffee, you want to go to Starbucks or something like that, I would take hot chocolate. Because honestly, hot chocolate tastes better than any coffee I've ever had, even the good ones.
Look at this. They had this in here. Glass Voss. That's how you fucking know. When they put Glass Voss in here, I bet it's like $20 just to even open it.
You know the funny thing about Voss is? It's like viewed as like a luxury brand of water. But like, I was driving across like 4 or 5 states one time. Well, maybe not 5 states, but like I was driving across like multiple states one time, and I stopped by a gas station and I saw the Voss and it was like $3 or $4. And I'm like, how is a luxury brand of water like this like so cheap? Like, it's not as expensive as you would think it is when people are like, oh, Voss water. Like it's not that expensive.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm responsible with my money, Ludwig. So actually, this one I picked up at the Family Ma right down the road. So I'm gonna start working on this guy. It's a nice beer, Asahi Dry. Oh my god.
Oh, he's drinking the local beverages. I see. Asahi is a Japanese beverage, I think.
Oh, fuck! Look at this! What the fuck? The light turns on as it
That's
opens.
kind of cool.
I guess this is the key drawer. Let that close. Next one. Oh yeah. They're probably gonna even charge me if I fucking use them. I'm not falling for it. And that. Oh my god. Here we go. We got little nips. The Jack Daniels, Chivas Regal. I don't know. The Glenlivet.
Anybody in the chat know what a nip is? I don't drink alcohol. I don't know what that is.
Fuck do I know? Liquor, 50 mil. 1,600 yen. The soda's 800 yen. The potato chips are $10. Oh my god. If you want a shot and a half, basically, you'll do 1,600 yen, which is $12. 12 fucking bucks for this. I am not wasting any more money. I'm going down the road. What is in here? Oh.
What?
Yeah, there's a potato.
What? A bag of potato chips. They look like the Chick-fil-A chips. If you ever seen like the Chick-fil-A chips, like they're in a very, 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 very similar bag.
$10 if you want those. It gets even better. This is the living room / the study. Another phone. A lot of phone calls that I take in my day-to-day life as a YouTuber. My assistant often calls me up and she's like, "Hey, we got Marky Moo on line 2. Line 1's PewDiePie. Some cool books too. Look, Japanese sacred geometry. Fuck yeah. Love reading about geometry on my goddamn vacation. Sit down here,
Of all of the books that you could have there, why geometry? I would think something maybe about Japan or something about relaxation, how to take control of your life, how to enjoy every single moment. But no, we're gonna do the geometry light video, tutorial book. Like why a book about geometry? I don't understand.
Take my calls. Plenty of room. What's in here? Oh, dude. Great. And instructions on how to enjoy music. Hey, I mean, when you're this rich,
what? I was going to say literally no. I was going to say that no culture or subculture, does not enjoy or appreciate music, but fundamentalist Baptists exist, and certain other types of Baptists do exist. So, maybe not everyone knows how to enjoy music, but the vast majority of people know how to enjoy music. I cannot understand why you would need a tutorial on how to enjoy music. Of course, I'm being relatively facetious here, because I do understand that this is just a very poor translation, but at the same time, like, bro, no, you don't teach me how to appreciate music. I teach you how to appreciate music. You understand me?
You probably lose a lot of what makes most people human. Let's be real. You're staying
It's true.
in the Ritz-Carlton.
Exactly.
Maybe you do.
Exactly. The fundamentalist Baptists have to brainwash themselves into not appreciating music. That's how much music is ingrained into human nature.
You need fucking instructions on how to enjoy music. The living room is probably bigger than every single hotel room I've ever stayed at. The pillows arranged beautifully. Let's test it. Totally doable. Nice TV.
Totally
They're
doable.
Playing ads for Marriott Bonvoy as if I'm not in the fucking hotel already. I don't understand this. You can get
That's a good point.
this. Put on like a fucking Cartoon Network or something. Let me watch Teen Titans Go. I want to see Raven those big thighs. What the fuck?
Huh? Okay. I've never heard anyone say that before. Maybe it's just because I don't spend that much time on Reddit and Tumblr.
Is it what are we playing ads for? Ads for the hotel? I'm in the fucking hotel. This is stupid. Oh, we get a story of our fruits. Look.
See, this is the type of thing that I would expect to see in the written literature of a hotel.
There's a grape, and then is this a fig? And there's another grape. Cough for me? Okay. So they give the Pion grape a lot of backstory, and they didn't have room to fit in the backstory for the other ones. That's fine. I won't be eating them. They'll probably charge me $50 per grape. It's okay. They have a spa. They got massages. You can call people over for a massage. They got some fucking origami here. Ooh, what's this? What's this? Is this one of those things where you do... What's this?
That's
Kyoto
cool.
green tea waffle. I might have to try this. I might have
A what?
to try the green tea waffle. Oh my god. They're gonna charge me so much for this green tea waffle, but I need to have it. Oh,
It's probably worth it, bro.
they're thin. There's many green tea waffles. I'm hoping this is complimentary because there's no going back now. Here it is.
That just looks like food poisoning waiting to happen. Does anyone find this appetizing? It's dry and like cracks and crumbles? You call that a waffle? Okay, bro. I guess it's a waffle.
Fucking terrible. Jesus Christ. Another thing about the bedroom that I only...
And then it ends up being bad.
realized after a night of sleeping here. Look at this.
I'm very glad that you didn't spoil it, though.
Jesus Christ. Another thing about the bedroom that I only realized after a night of sleeping here. Look at this. We got a whole fucking control panel here. Including, oh, I'm sorry, is that an automated fucking curtain? And then,
I mean, it's not automated. You have to push a button to manually make it go, but like, it's pretty cool.
and just like that, it's all the sunlight is gone. I realize it's not just the bedroom. Every
Wait, are those blackout curtains? That's pretty cool, actually.
fucking room has that. You can just completely shut yourself in. Look.
Wow. What is that walk? What is that walk?
I fucking hate rich people. Why do you need this? Who actually needs this? What, so you get the machine opening blinds so you don't have to look at your ugly fucking terrace? Last but not least, your
It's not
terrace.
even
This is
ugly.
why it costs all this money. It's dusk, the perfect time.
That's so cool, though. So cool.
It's beautiful. I love being rich. This is phenomenal. Ludwig was probably doing that whole fucking expensive hotel so he could do a little Mr. Beast style. Oh, I did a $1 hotel and then a $2,000 hotel. Fuck that. Capsule hotel, Ludwig. That's poor people shit. Here I just go to the most expensive shit and I don't even bother. That lower class bullshit. There it is. That's the tour. Thanks for following along. I'm gonna go pump one out.
Cool video. Seems like a nice place. Again, I don't know if I want to live there. You know, you might see that I'm a little bit biased when it comes to, you know, countries and liking various countries. You know, you just see my bias. I am wearing it maybe not on my sleeve, but on my torso at the moment. But still, very cool video. It makes me like Japan slightly more. But, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen, because I'm a streamer on the internet, so like everyone who watches me is a male. Thanks everyone for tuning in to the stream. I do appreciate everyone's contributions in the chat, as well as their patience listening to me talk about these extremely boring news stories and trying to make them interesting and relatable and understandable to everyone who is observing. Of course, as we must give the obligatory shout outs to the people who were in the chat. And we actually only had 2 people in the chat today, but they're very talkative and I enjoyed having them in here. One of them is someone who hasn't been in the chat in a bit. I don't think he's always able to catch my streams when they pop on, but he was able to catch this one. That would be Galaxy, I think. It's GLXSKY. Thanks for popping into the chat. Really cool to get your hear your quips and your feedback and kind of get to see a bit of what it was that you wanted me to cover. That did actually help me pick the things I talked about because I had like twice as many stories to cover as I actually had time to cover. So I do appreciate your feedback on that. Also official Mike, thanks for tuning in and being your normal, usual, edgy self, I guess. I do promise that with all the stuff going on with Canada and China, I will eventually do a Canada and China video. I just am not super informed on Canada and China. If you want to be on the stream, let me know sometime and we could talk about what's going on in Canada and in China with all of that stuff going on. But for now, I'm just not super educated. And also there are a lot of interesting things going on domestically here in the United States. I'm sure you understand. So I do want to focus on that first. And then once maybe things calm down, which now that I think about it, things really going to calm down. Oh no, homie. But if they do ever calm down, then I will certainly switch over to talking about what's been going on in Canada politically with the interference and infiltration of China into the Canadian government, allegedly. Galaxy says, when's the next stream? Okay, so if you guys are not familiar with my stream schedule, it's basically, now it's not concrete, but it's basically, or at least the goal is to start at around 7 or 8. I know today I started a little bit late, but the goal is to start at around 7 or 8 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then on Saturday, do a sort of like gaming stream, a fun stream with the boys, with like the CVRT folks. CVRT basically is like a group of Car 3 people, but it's like kind of like the OGs sort of. It's like the smaller friend group. You know, I call them the Car 3 guys usually in the streams just for sake of simplicity, but it's not all the people from Car 3. But usually I do a casual stream with them on Saturday evenings or nights or Sunday evenings or nights. I actually will not be doing a gaming stream on Saturday because I'll be outside touching grass, but I might do a gaming stream on Sunday night depending on how schedules unfold. So we'll see. But next stream is on Thursday. It's going to be more of a gaming stream. I will be back on the Bro SMB, picking up where we left off. And yeah, the music is ending, so I guess my stream is going to have to end too. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next stream on Thursday. Join the Discord, link is in the description below. And thank you all for tuning in. Peace out.